How are you, Skizz?
I'm phlegmy. I actually had lost my voice on Friday, but
Did you?
I got it back now.
So you didn't quite lose it. You misplaced it temporarily.
Yeah. I found it behind the couch.
Yeah. What is it from doing? How many Q&As by Friday you had lost your voice, or you had already been abusing your voice prior to the festival?
Yeah, it was it was creeping up on me, and then Friday morning I just didn't have any voice. Luckily, by Friday evening, I had enough of a voice that I could do intros and Q&As, but I'm still kind of talking quietly.
Or like Miles Davis. Hey man, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Nice of you motherfuckers to make it to the festival. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm actually doing his voice. That was a reference to a film that we both sat through only a couple of hours ago, which is one of the films at the Maryland Film Festival. It was I guess it was called Birth of the Cool.
Miles Davis, Birth of the Cool.
Yeah. And interestingly, that album I thought was going to be like the centerpiece of the documentary, but I guess it's just a good name because it was a reference to the man who who invented a whole style of cool
and what a I mean it's a long documentary, but man, it covers everything. I mean, I don't really have many questions about Miles Davis that it didn't answer, except many times during the film I kind of wondered whatever happened to his kids. And then later on, we see them as adults.
And a couple of them.
Nice.
That's very true. I had the same exact thought. At a certain point, it's like they talked about all of his relationships, his marriages, and his first marriage, they had kids very young. And then that marriage fails, it ends, and he moves on to his
girlfriend in France, in Paris.
Right. And Frances, and who's in a sort of an amazing... What great luck for Stanley Nelson, who made the film, to get her, and that she's still alive and well, because she was just so entertaining and such a great subject,
Yeah.
Anyway, and so you're just like, what about the kids? Where were they in this, and what was his relationship with them? But it sounds like, like a lot of geniuses of that particular generation, MIA when it came to his family.
Right. Which is funny because I saw the Mike Wallace documentary yesterday.
That's right.
And he's actually asked about, like, what kind of father was he? And he's like, absentee, not a very good father. Even his marriages, it was like, if he got home or if he got a phone message that his wife called or that the network called, he would call the network back first.
Yeah, that was a stunning example of brutal honesty. It spoke well of him because he certainly expected that of his interview subjects.
Right.
I mean, he asked the brutal questions, so he expected the brutally honest answers, which he probably seldom got. But if you're going to do that, then you should be honest about yourself in front of...
Which was interesting, because when people would ask him the brutal questions, his answer was usually, that's a terrible question, rather than answer it.
It's true, but he did talk about his children. I mean, I think also another thing, since we brought up Mike Wallace is here as well, is that unlike Miles, I suspect... Mike Wallace lost a child, which can definitely impact the way you're. I mean, he's clearly had this enormous burden that he carried around after losing his son and realizing that he was not a great parent, not the parent he wanted to be.
Right.
And so, I was very impressed with that documentary as well.
It was a very nice companion piece to Recorder, the Marion Stokes story, because both have seemingly endless access to archival footage, basically chronicling the history. I mean, for Mike Wallace going back many, many decades, for Marion Stokes going back to the mid to late 70s. And I just wanted to watch so much of the footage. Like, I kept wishing that the filmmakers wouldn't cut away so soon because I want to see more of this archival footage. I want to relive these sometimes awful moments in history. But it was great to see. And all the VHS quality and the Marion Stokes
film was
fantastic.
YouTube 1.0.
Right.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
She was simultaneously recording, I don't know, like just every channel.
Yeah.
And so she had multiple TVs and VCRs running at 24 hours a day for years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
She must have just also, she was very wealthy.
Yeah.
Right? So, because she had this really enormous house, and she became something of a hoarder, I guess.
I kind of wondered how enormous the house was. It was like this apartment, and when you see the archive all boxed up at the end, I'm like, how did that fit in that apartment?
I thought didn't she have like storage spaces and stuff?
I think so. I think they said that she had other addresses or something.
Yeah, she had incredible interest, really something. I wonder, So anyway, that one was here at Maryland Film. Okay, because I saw that one, I think, unless I'm mistaken, last week at it. Let's say another festival. I don't want to infringe on this festival with my other festivals.
Yeah, I was at a different one last weekend too, and
which one? We can talk about yours, but
okay. I was at the Indie Film Fest in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
So
how's that one?
It was fun.
Yeah,
it's an interesting town. I didn't know much about Indianapolis.
Was it your first time?
It was.
Okay.
I think. I was trying to remember if when I was in touring bands, if I ever played in Indianapolis, and I couldn't remember any venues or any experiences there. But
how'd you get there?
This time I flew.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're grown up. You should fly into Indianapolis for pizza. Yeah. What are you going to do, walk? And by the way, can I take a baby step backwards? We're talking to frequent Filmwax Radio guest. I can say that now. This is your three-peat. This is Skizz Cyzyk, who is on the screening committee here.
Yep.
He's definitely a fixture here at the Maryland Film Festival and in Baltimore. Anyway, so I saw Pahokee, which was very good, and then we just also walked out of at the conclusion of it. We left. We didn't walk out in the middle of it. The Gospel According to Al Green, which is actually I don't remember that documentary, but I guess it's a.
Yeah, I don't either. I do try to see Robert Muggy films whenever I can, just because he did Sun Ra. Actually, when he was here in, I want to say 2001, when I was still one of the programmers at this festival, we showed his Sun Ra documentary in the building where part of it was shot, which was kind of cool.
He did mention that.
And I had just finished making a music video for the Young Fresh Fellows. And I was talking with him, and he was saying that he was working on a documentary about Scott McCoy from the Young Fresh Fellows. So I'm hoping I can run into him while he's here and ask, whatever became of that project? Because I want to see that.
Yeah.
And I imagine that, Scott's story has taken on all kinds of new chapters just in the last couple of years with a stroke and then joining some other super groups. So time's right for Robert Muggy to make a Scott McCoy documentary.
Is Robert Muggy still making films?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he is. I mean, filmmakers never stop making films. We just take years off.
Right. Well, he's an older guy, but he didn't seem in any way that old. He seems still pretty good shape. But he's made something like 36 documentaries. Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said, over 40 years.
Right. That's an incredibly prolific filmmaker, right? Were most of those... Did you suspect that most of his films were on public broadcasting?
I always got a feeling they were probably made for television. And like you said with this one, it was a British channel, Channel 4, I think.
Right, that's right. And because there was no MTV for a good portion of those 40 years, I'm assuming, or at least
the beginning of those 40 years.
No, I loved it.
Although it's been,
but also his style wouldn't have worked on MTV. Like MTV was all quick cutting, and
that's
he
true.
has like 5-minute shots. 5-minute scenes that.
in the one we just saw, there was even far longer than that.
Yeah, there was like an entire church service.
Yeah. It was a little challenging to sit through, but it was still an interesting bit of an archive of a particular time, and to see this side of this incredible performer. So anyway, but interesting guy, this filmmaker. Yeah, because I was wondering what else. I mean, there was no featurettes, really. Maybe there were. I don't know. They used to always make documentary before there was a Criterion channel and before there were DVDs and Blu-rays. They were still making featurettes and shooting documentaries about the making of films or following, bands and their tours, etc., things like that. So I just don't know where those films went to, like what they were.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look into more of what he's done and where it all is.
Right.
Now I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, like Les Blank we know his films went into probably like art houses and museums, possibly. Maybe I'm just guessing. He didn't just do bands and musicians, certainly, but he did some of them, in his career. So, and do you have a particular category that you are on the screening committee that you are responsible for, or
no? They just give me a long list of films to watch, and then I let them know what I thought, and usually with a recommendation that they should watch it or they can not bother watching
Gotcha.
it.
You're the first line of defense or the first filter. Yeah. And I'm doing that. I do that for a New York Film Festival.
Yeah, it helps out. I mean, when I was one of the programmers here, it really helps a lot to have somebody else just weed out the stuff you don't need to pay too much attention to.
And it's not just bad quality. It's just stuff that may not be appropriate for the Maryland Film Festival. It doesn't mean it can't be at the New York Film Festival or whatever. Just it's not right for Maryland Film Festival.
Yeah.
So, okay. And so did you, this year, for instance, in 2019, did you move any films up the ladder and then they ultimately got programmed?
There were two in the program that were on the list that I watched, and one of them I remember recommending, and the other one I remember saying, this could very well be the greatest film of a generation, and I'm just not part of that generation. So,
is that a film that played? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
They're both in the festival. I don't want to say the names of
I guess
either
it
of
would
them.
be
Actually, I can't remember the name of the one that I liked.
Well, you don't have to admit that.
The one that I didn't like, I can remember the name, but it's not like I hated it. It just wasn't for me. I just felt like maybe I'm too old to appreciate this, but I think there will be an audience that will appreciate it. Yeah. And sure enough, it got in, and I'm guessing people are going to see it.
Okay. You didn't see Who Let the Dogs Out, the documentary?
No, I'm actually doing the intro to that in like a half hour. So.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. Well, I'll let you go then. No, I'm kidding. I hear actually good things. I heard people talking about it, and they were actually saying it was very entertaining.
Yeah, that's
real fun film. That's
what I'm hoping. It's really... I hate to say it's subject matter that I don't really have any interest in.
Yeah.
But I love being pleasantly surprised.
Right,
I love
and
seeing
that's the thing.
A documentary about something I don't know anything about and don't care about, and then walking away being like, wow. Like, I was at a festival last year, and I saw a documentary about the Nintendo glove. I didn't even know this thing existed. I'm not a gamer or anything, and I'm like, well, here's a subject that has absolutely no interest to me whatsoever.
Right.
And I loved it. I was just like, wow, I just learned a whole bunch about something I never even knew existed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all. That's the thing about a great documentary. It really is in the telling, and also the other thing, as far as your being a film enthusiast, however you want to describe yourself, is that you have to kind of remember to get out of your own way when it comes to, because we all make presumptions. Right. We all have our prejudices, and we all think by the look of a film or the title or the marketing of it, this is not probably something I'm going to like, when you can't know that until you look at it, until you watch it. And so many times I've been proven wrong. So I've learned, if nothing else, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Try, be open to it, because you never know, it could be the next great thing that you see.
I always go back to, I forget what year it was. It was probably 99, maybe. I was on the jury at Slam Dance, and I was watching a film that I was hating it. I just did not like it. But I didn't want to get up and leave the theater because I didn't want the audience to see a juror walk out on a film.
That's probably a good decision.
Yeah, so I stuck it out. And in the final third, the film turned around and explained everything. And I thought, wow, this is one of the greatest films I've seen at a festival in a long time. And I think we ended up giving an award. And it was Christopher Nolan's first film, Following.
Oh, my gosh.
And I always go back to that whenever I'm watching a film that I hate. I'm like, well, you never know. I could be hating it right now, but I could be loving it by the end. So
that's right.
I'll stick with it.
Yeah.
Which makes watching entries really tough, or time-consuming.
It's interesting, because that is a brave way to make a film when you are... you're really taking your time, or you're you're postponing the goods. You're not showing the goods. I mean, because you really are banking on not only an audience, but even just to get to the point where there might be an audience. Festival programmers, distributors, all these people are going to want to get the goods closer up front. They're expecting a certain amount of...
It's what they teach you in film school. If you don't capture the audience in the first 8 minutes, you've lost them for the rest of it.
That's right.
And film festival programmers, there's sort of an unwritten rule with features that, people watching screeners, if a feature doesn't win you over in the first 20 minutes, they're not likely to watch the whole thing, because, will it actually get any better after 20 minutes? Well, of course, I now know that sometimes it does. So so I try to watch everything all the way through. Every now and then there's something where it's like, there's no way this can redeem itself. And I'll actually scan forward to see if it looks like it got any better. But
those are tricks of the trade. Do you know what shit? So roughly how many films is there a set minimum that you're supposed to watch? As a screening committee member, which is not the same thing as a juror. I don't know. People listening may not understand.
Yeah, it's not.
It's already films that are programmed for. If you're a juror,
people have asked me. So you're on the selection committee? I'm like, no, I'm on the screening committee.
Yeah, it's less glamorous than the selection committee.
Basically, just
you're really
weeding stuff out.
Yeah.
They give it. I want to say they give them to us in batches of 15.
Yeah.
And
that sounds right.
The more batches we watch, the more perks we get.
Right. It's a very what's the word, patronizing approach to and simple for it's like here, like wagging something in front of you just to kind of the bone in order to get you to be more productive, and but it works.
Yeah. I get offers to do it at other festivals, and I'm always thinking, well, yeah, it'd be really nice to get more involved in other festivals, and I realize how hard it is to find the time to watch all these films for one festival. And I think it'd be really great if we could just create a database for all film festival screening committee people where, for every film that's on Film Freeway or Without a Box, we can include our rating and our write-up. So it's like...
Oh, see. Leverage off of other people's experience watching a particular film.
But, it's like that way I could save something. Like if the same film is entered into all the festivals that I pre-screened for, I could save a lot of time. Just watch it once.
Yes. I'm on a screening committee myself, and I'm watching shorts, which I appreciate. You're expected to watch quite a few, but I feel like it's a lot easier. I actually, as a screening committee member, I like shorts.
Yeah, I do too. I can actually watch shorts while I'm eating lunch.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually knock out like 6 shorts without any problem.
Yeah.
Some shorts are kind of pushing back against that category's name in their running time, but most are, now filmmakers understand that probably if I do something under 20 minutes, if not under 15, I stand maybe a better chance of gaining favor, for better, for worse.
I like a good 3-minute short.
Hey, amen, brother. But do you make them that way?
Well, I have one in this festival this year.
What is the one you have in this festival?
It's the French Toast Man. It's in the
Send me the link.
WTF shorts program.
Yeah, that's one of the categories. They have documentary shorts, right? Funny or comedy?
Comedy shorts.
Comedy shorts. And then WTF, and then there's an experimental block, I know, and an animated block.
Yeah, and then Unorthodox.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. That's a good name.
Yeah. So yours is again in WTF, so it's a little bit like outrageous. Is that the idea?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now I know what category to send my short into. I'm making a WTF. And it will be between, if you get assigned it to... I don't know. Is it? Do you think okay to talk about how many films get programmed though? Well, you can send like your film in cold, and that's when a screening committee member, like through Without a Box you mentioned for Film Freeway, and that's how a screening committee member will probably end up seeing your film first.
Right.
But many films like features, especially that get into a lot of the festivals. Or a programmer who is the next step up. Those are the people that make the final decisions about which films will actually be at the festival, and they are the ones that go to other festivals, usually early in the season and watch. Yeah. And then they will talk to the filmmaker directly, or in some cases a distributor.
They're kind of like scouts. like they're
right.
scouting for films. Yeah.
That's right. So most of the films that make it into, or features that make it into a festival, are usually unsolicited.
Yeah, hopefully.
I don't know.
I actually don't know the ratio for this festival. But it was always about half and half.
You guys would go, right? The programmers would go to, let's say, a Sundance or a South by or a Tribeca or Toronto.
Yeah,
Good, right?
Not
of course.
Tribeca. That was too soon.
Oh, right. It's too late, right? Because that's just days before. And they would watch films, and then, or connections, or through
an alumni and people
right. That's a good
come
point.
to us saying, hey,
right.
you should
Local
check this out.
filmmakers also, it may be like Baltimore filmmakers might have a little bit of a direct pipeline potentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't really know the ratio, but I know when I was programming, we got a lot from the entries,
right?
And it was probably about half,
so,
which I'm sure the filmmakers that are entering and getting rejected are thinking, well, that should be a little more than half, shouldn't it?
Yes.
But that's just the way filmmakers work. I mean, we're not going to, if a festival knows of a great film that they really want, they're not going to not program it because it didn't come in as an entry. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
So the last thing I kind of want to touch on is regarding this festival, the Maryland Film Festival, is it's been going through a number of changes in personnel in the last 2 or 3 years since I've been coming, actually. And I'm not trying to draw some sort of connection there, but look into it. I started coming. Eric's gone. Eric Hatch, who was the programmer here for quite a few years, right? And your friend.
Yeah.
And we can plug. He is now the proprietor of a
Beyond Video.
Beyond
He's
Video, which is
part of a collective that's opened a new video store here in Baltimore.
In downtown.
Yeah.
Right here. Just blocks.
Pretty close to here,
Yeah, maybe within half a mile of here. And then executive director?
Jed Dietz, who founded the festival, and ran it for the first 20 festivals, retired last fall.
Yeah.
And we have an interim festival director. I don't know what's going on, if
I understand
if they're advertising for that position, or if
because I did get
it. So.
Yeah, I got a form to fill out for that role, so I'm just saying. No, I don't really. But and then Scott Braid is the new senior programmer here, and he seems to be doing a bang-up job and continuing the legacy of great programming here. But still, what is your feeling about the festival, having seen such a transformation in the last few years? Do you have any feelings about it at all in particular, or are you just used to it?
I mean, this festival, I don't know, it's kind of an emotional experience for me every year because it has been such a big part of my life and was such an overwhelming part of my daily life for the entire decade of the 2000s. So yeah, every year I come and it's a little emotional for me, and I can't really stay on top of, like, I don't even know half the people involved.
I understand,
and I'm not sure they know me either.
How's that for you? Do you have an ego around that?
I have a big ego.
No. Okay.
No, I mean
that's honest.
It's just kind of weird because a lot of the volunteers remember me, and I don't think they realize that I stepped down from my position in 2009. So they still kind of treat me the same way they always did. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, right. Well, you deserve. I mean, at a certain point, you also deserve it, whether or not you're here in the same. Whether you're the boss or just someone who is very actively involved on some other role. I mean, I think you still have earned a certain amount of respect, at least, if not anything else.
But it's odd because people that love the festival will come up and tell me what a great job we're doing, and I always kind of feel like, well, I shouldn't take credit for this because I didn't really do that much, but I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to say thanks. And then people who do know that I stepped down, if they have a complaint, boy, do I hear it. I think they think that they can complain to me and I will somehow be able to fix it. And it's like, I don't have
much
power.
So in a way, though, there's an advantage to what you're describing because you do deserve credit for helping build the festival. Regardless if you're still actively involved in that, you did were one of the core team members that were there at the beginning, who built it into what it is and the reputation it has. So even if you're not still doing that, that's part of your legacy. So that's why I sort of was saying I think you still should have respect, even if you're now just a lowly screening committee member like myself.
I mean, I know it happens at festivals all over the country. People that were real involved for years leave. And
right.
I mean, at Atlanta, I used to be involved in that. And the time I was there, I saw the entire staff turn over like once or twice.
Yes.
And there's people that I'm still friends with that haven't been there in decades that I'm sure nobody there even remembers at this point. I'm like, that's the world of film festivals.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's sort of like most things. It's realizing that there's another younger generation, and you know, it's very true. Anyway, well, thanks for being very, I guess, straight about it and unguarded. I appreciate it. We're at a place called the Wind Up Space, and I want to thank Russell DiCampo is the owner, and I want to thank him, and what a great job. Also, I mentioned this to you before. I think it's what they do is they have this called the Wind Up Space. It's right across from the Parkway here on North Avenue here in downtown Baltimore. And if you've got a badge, if you're here and you're invited to the festival or part of the festival, you can hang out here, and it's a wonderful thing to have because it gives like a town square vibe to this festival.
Yeah.
And very many festivals, don't really have that as well. Certainly not the big ones that we mentioned just before, the market ones but what's nice here is you get to meet people, run into people you didn't know were coming, meet new people, make new friends. I've made a number of friends, including yourself, I think, just through coming here for the last few years.
Free food.
And great catering, a.k.a. free food, which is a big deal.
I know,
for
because
people
I don't
like
really
us.
know where to eat around here. I go to Joe Square, but I don't want to go to Joe Square every day.
Right.
Yeah.
I had the pizza last night, by the way, at Joe's.
Try the risotto.
Okay, I will. I might do that for dinner tonight before I take off if I have the time. I'm going to try to go to Beyond Video and then maybe get some risotto. And then head on my Bolt bus back to NYC.
Which is conveniently right around the corner.
Yeah. People can come in from the festival from Philadelphia, New York City, Washington, D.C. I assume for
the train
reasonably
station
very little money. And the train station.
Train station's right down the street, too.
And the train, if you don't like these buses that are still pretty comfortable, but if you're not crazy about those buses, if you do that, you can get here between $40 and $50 round trip. It's just so easy. So if you're a film festival fan, you should come to the Maryland Film Festival. That's my advice. Of course, you still have to figure out where you're staying.
There's that. But there's that little hotel right
oh, boy.
Door. I don't know anybody that's ever stayed there. I think it's $7 an hour. I'm not sure.
You don't need luggage. All right. Thanks, Skizz.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Next year.